Hey everybody, it's Jody Franklin here, and I am so thrilled today to have Dr. Stephen Cabral here. I've been a longtime follower of Dr. Cabral, and he is a board certified doctor of naturopathy and founder of the Integrated Health Practitioners Institute, which we can talk about a little later. But after becoming ill himself at age 17, he started this lifelong journey on how to rebalance the body and get well. And since his mission is to try to help people heal themselves and heal others, he's going to share his expertise today. And he is also, by the way, author of the book, The Rainbow Effect, as well as having a really popular podcast called The Cabral Concept, which is a great podcast for health coaches as well. But Dr. Cabral, I'm so delighted to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining me in this group.
Well, it's a pleasure joining you in your community, and you've put together something really special. So it's really nice to be able to chat with fellow practitioners, fellow health coaches, and looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. So tell me, I know you said, we were talking a little bit before, but your journey started with that your own health issues. I know so many of us practitioners or so many of us health coaches have had health issues in the past, and that's sort of what drove us. Can you tell us really briefly what happened there?
Yeah, I think most of us in the natural health industry do get into this industry because of a loved one was sick or we were sick and we simply wanted to find our answers. And we all know that, especially many years ago, there wasn't a foundational based program that was easy to access that we could then use it for ourselves, personalize it for ourselves, like all good natural medicine needs to be still. And we found out what didn't work, and we started to realize what did work, and we then wanted to be able to share that information with others. So I'm no different. For 2 years, I went to the best specialist around Boston, and no one could diagnose what was wrong with me. And that's because my blood work looked okay, but they didn't realize what was going on at a much deeper level, and my immune system was shutting down. Later diagnosed with Addison's disease, all sorts of autoimmune issues like rheumatoid arthritis, POTS syndrome. Besides that, I had fibromyalgia. I was a complete insomniac. I had type 2 diabetes, you name it. And that's because I had full, basically, system failure from an endocrine-based issue, which is Addison's disease. And again, I always tell people that name of the disease doesn't matter too much. Like, that's my genetics, but genetics are only there to that's our code, but it doesn't have to go wrong. So maybe you get Hashimoto's or a skin disease, someone else gets migraines or rheumatoid arthritis. And so we all have our genetic code, and mine kind of goes to that area. But what I found over the years, and eventually I met my mentor over a period of 10 years, so I had a long learning curve for me, probably a little bit more stubborn than most people, is that there is always an answer, and there are foundational based programs that we can look at that enable us to return the body back to a state of homeostasis.
Wow, can I relate to that? And not only also being from the Boston area and seeing some great practitioners here who meant well but didn't have the tools necessary. But one of the things that I discovered in my journey in overcoming my own health issue was I had off the charts levels of mercury toxicity, and that was one of the drivers for my autoimmune disease. And I know today I'm so excited that you're going to talk about toxicity. It is just so rampant, and I'm finding it so much in the clients that I work with being a big driver for disease. So I'm so glad you're discussing this topic. But can you tell me what one thing that you found to be useful is that with your clients in determining their toxic load?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things that just was a little bit different in the way that I studied medicine, naturopathic medicine, was that I ended up doing my internships overseas. So I ended up, and the reason was that I was still very skeptical. I mean, I was in my mid-20s, later 20s actually, back in school. And I just was so skeptical of medicine in general because I had relapsed so many times over 10 years. I would start to get better and then I'd relapse. Start to get better, I'd feel better in the summers, then I'd relapse in the winters. And so I still had never really figured out like how to hold it. And so I simply said, I'm going to study all of these great forms of medicine all over the world, exactly where they are. Go to India, study Ayurvedic medicine in Sri Lanka. Go to China, study TCM. Go to the Europe, study biological medicine, study bioregulatory medicine, functional medicine. And I'm just going to choose the one that works and do that with people. Well, what I realized was they all work. They work for different reasons, and you have to know who to use it with at what time. But what I never expected to discover was that much of the time in Ayurveda and other systems of medicine, people got well through a subtractive form of medicine. And you most likely had to do the same. We didn't need to add more. We add too much. And that's one of the reasons why fasting is becoming so popular. Of course, in our Western mentality, we way overdo fasting, but what we need to look at is a subtractive method, removing the mercury, removing the heavy metals, removing the candida, the SIBO, the H. pylori, the parasites, the biofilms, right? That's how we get the gut better. It's not always add more, add more. So what I realized was that if you can begin to look at a person's toxicities, not just their deficiencies, then you can begin to help them to heal faster, and you're looking at a root causal level.
That's awesome. And, you know, I can so relate to that. And I think it's critical part. So many of us want to add, and take these supplements and do all these things. But until you remove the faucet, you can't drain everything out unless the faucet stops, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, you talk about the full rain barrel effect, but how does your school, you know, IHP, help work with clients who are dealing with a full rain barrel? Like, how would we support people with that kind of toxic burden? And maybe you could explain a little bit about what the full rain barrel is too.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people know what that term is. So the rain barrel effect, think of it as just a giant barrel that's collecting the water off the gutters from a house. That's what a rain barrel was initially meant for. And you want to do that because you don't want all of the debris and everything going down that gutter and just all over your lawn and destroying your lawn, patio, whatever it might be. So you fill up this rain barrel. But the problem is nobody ever checks the rain barrel. And so over time, it begins to fill up. And as it fills up, well, eventually it overflows. And when it overflows, then you've got a mess in your yard. You've got destroyed lawn, patio, et cetera. Well, what we are giant rain barrels, and we fill it up with EMFs and heavy metals and mercury amalgams and poor food choices and stress. So basically, in the rain barrel effect, I talk about the 10 main forms of essentially toxicity. So we begin to fill up our rain barrels, and I have this quiz, and the quiz is completely free. And basically, you can use it with your clients and say, okay, are there digestive issues? Are there skin issues? Are there sleep issues? And when you look at these things, you say, well, yeah, there are. And you can kind of put a score to that. And people have different quizzes for it, but it just shows the clients that, listen, your rain barrel is beginning to fill up. Now, the problem is most people never pay attention to the rain barrel until it overflows. And that's the issue. But your body's always giving you signs and symptoms. I always say one of the first danger signs is you begin to wake up without energy, that you begin to wake up a little groggy, a little fuzzy, that you need caffeine to get the body going, or it takes you until 10 a.m. to feel like you're awake. That's one of the first signs of, yes, hormonal issues, yes, potentially blood sugar dysregulation, low cortisol in the morning, higher cortisol at night, all of these things. But that happens systemically and systematically over time. And if you can just begin to get more self-aware yourself and teach it to your clients, because again, it's always great that we go through the process and then we teach it to our clients as well. So that's what the rain barrel is. And then what we teach people to do is what's called the de-stress protocol. And it's diet, it's exercise, it's stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, sleep protocols, emotional balance, which is often overlooked, science-based supplement protocols, and then success mindset. So it's no one thing. I think too often we look at just diet. Well, we're just going to follow a good whole food diet. Okay, well, I tried that for many years. It's not enough. You need to fix the sleep. You need to fix all these different things. But the nice thing is you don't have to be perfect. If you can be 80% good at all 8 things, well, now you're making real change in the body. So we teach that at a foundational level. And then we allow every health coach to personalize it themselves as well for their clients.
Oh, that's great, because to your point, there's so much individuality with this. And I love that you bring in so many different, your whole background with all these different modalities into this program. And to your point, no one protocol is going to work so much for everybody. There are definitely, similarities in what you're going to do in terms of steps, but you want to customize it as well. So I love that. And are there any like specific steps you could mention to our group? Just they really want to know about toxicity. Any like real nitty gritty 1 or 2 points that you work with or that you recommend for clients that we work with for toxicity, besides all those steps that you said all together, but anything more detailed that you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things is fasting right now. So we can just talk about that because fasting means you're no longer taking in the main source of toxicity, which is food, right? And even again, all the best foods in the world, great, but not all of our clients are following the Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, or buying all organic or whatever it might be. Because we have to remember that our clients are not us, right? So we would love them to be doing all of these things that we try to follow. But even us, like, again, right now, I often drink from a glass mason jar, and I've got a big mason jar. Well, I've got this beautiful spring water, and it's a great, like, again, some of the best spring water that you can get, but it's in a plastic bottle. Now, do I heat this bottle or anything like that? No, but there's still some plastic elements. So every single one of us needs to be working on the detox capacity. So there's phase 1 and phase 2 detox. I don't want to get too much into that today. I'm sure that you talk about it in your groups. And so a quarterly detox is something they did in every single form of medicine except conventional medicine. They did it in different ways, but they tried to ramp up liver detox, and they used herbs like milk thistle and dandelion, all those things. But we can also add those plus a functional medicine perspective. So we can actually use things like sulforaphane now, one of the main extracts from broccoli. Absolutely amazing. We know that it works on everything from cancer to detox to this. I mean, so it's like, let's use the best of everything. So what my mentor taught me was how to combine Ayurvedic medicine with genetics, with functional medicine. And I just said, why didn't anybody teach this before? It's taking the best of the old with the best of state of the art new, turning that into a protocol everybody can use. So I got away from your point a little bit, but just simple fasting, 1 day a week, 2 to 3 days every 12 weeks. And then you can do a longer one if you choose to every year. And you can do it with functional medicine-based products, or you can simply do it with fasting. And then we don't need to go overboard, because 16 hours a day of fasting is not right for everyone. And we have to remember that, right? And so it's kind of based on the nervous system and hormones and blood sugar regulation and stress. And so I like to just kind of start at the foundation and then, again, bio-individualize it for every person you work with.
I love that. That's wonderful. What a great mechanism to stop the flow and get people some relief from the toxicity. And I know you have a lot of other steps up your sleeve with it, but that's a great first step. I love that. And maybe you could tell people a little bit about the program too. I know what I loved in looking at it, and Dr. Cabral has, we could put the link below. I know, I think Caitlin's watching now, and she can drop the link below to your program for anyone interested. But so many health coaches want to get into functional medicine. I am a huge supporter of the whole premise of this group is really educating health coaches. It's called Health Coach Educational Network. It's to get health coaches to really understand what they're doing. And a lot of us want to get into functional medicine, but there's barriers. There's prerequisites in some programs. They want you to have more experience. You have to be a medical professional. There's different barriers to getting into these programs. And I love that your program is at a really good price point, really affordable for a struggling health coach who wants to learn this stuff. And there's no prerequisites. You don't even have to be a health coach to attend the program. So maybe tell us why you did something like that, and give us a little background on that, and maybe what you really love about your program and what distinguishes you from some of the other programs out there.
Yeah, for sure. And so basically, and I think you're right in that summation, that you have a lot of health coaching programs. By the way, they're all like the ones that I'm thinking of that most people know are absolutely fantastic. And so, but you want to look at those as lifestyle and behavioral change, which is fantastic. Again, that is like the basis of what we need to help our clients with. Is if a client is not drinking half their body weight in ounces of water per day, if they're not getting their 7 to 9 servings of their veggies and some low glycemic fruit and all that, then, well, okay, then let's start there for sure. But what we want to do then is eventually get to, how do we really work on bio-individualization? And that comes with being able to find what the root cause of all of this is. You don't know that you have high mercury if you don't test for high mercury. You can go by the symptoms, but the symptoms also look like a dozen other things, right? So it's like, how do you know it's mercury? How do you know it's not, again, just slow digestion, sluggishness, low stomach acid? How do you know it's not parasites? How do you know it's not low thyroid? Well, so what we wanted to do was bridge the gap between the lifestyle behavioral change that a lot of other people are teaching and the $40,000 program that I went through postdoctoral, which was IFM. And that's only for doctors and nurse practitioners. So like, I bet again, like, why is that information not for everybody when it should be? And so we have essentially like two models. The first one is this: it's heal yourself and then heal others. Because so many health coaches get into this because they are looking for a way to heal themselves. And there's still some nagging things that many people have that they don't like to talk about. So we want you to figure out those answers, okay? And the next part is this: we want to put a health coach in every home. That's our basically our tag, a health coach in every home. And that's because the information that we believe everyone needs to know is not taught in schools, and it has been forgotten about 3 generations ago with our great-grandparents. So now we don't even know what a Mediterranean style diet is, a predominantly more plant-based foods, like those types of things. And we don't say that you have to be vegan. We don't say that you have to be paleo. We don't say that you have to follow any plan, but we have to say, well, there's a foundation for good, healthy eating. And we need to be able to then meet people where they're at. You can't say eat, 10 servings of vegetables a day if someone has weak digestion, and you can't say eat all raw food if this person's digestion, they get bloated every time they eat it. So what we do is we say, here's what we want to get to, but we need to be able to get there. So what we do is we have level 1 teaching in depth the specific protocols, 50 handouts that I use in my practice. We've been doing this a long time, 20 years, and we've met with over 250,000 people. So it's not just the research, it's also real world data that we take. Here's the protocols we use. You can take our protocols, but then in level 2 is you can actually order the same labs that we're using in our practice. So we give you the ability to use at-home labs, whether you want to in your practice or not, or just for yourself and your family, but you also learn how to use them and explain them from a health education standpoint. You're not diagnosing disease. You are not treating disease or curing disease. What you're doing is you're showing people, hey, there's high mercury. It's not a disease. You have heavy metal toxicity. Here's what we can do through all natural methodologies to be able to remove that mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, you name it. And it's very empowering. And it's also, it helps people that have been struggling for, like myself, for a decade, and I didn't have any of my answers. Okay, I find functional medicine, I find someone that can teach it to me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why didn't I know about this before? It was there, but nobody taught it to me. So it answers questions and it empowers people. And now I'm like you, I can say today, well, I have more energy. I feel better. I'm completely disease-free 20 plus years later. And how does that happen? Well, that happens through combining the best of ancient wisdom with state-of-the-art medicine.
Yeah, and it's so important to have that data. You can guess and guess and guess and be wrong. And people will give up on you. So many health coaches say to me, they'll write in the forum here, I met with this person 3 times and now I can't get a hold of them. They're ghosting me. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you didn't get them any relief. Maybe you didn't inspire because you don't have data. You need that information. And to your point, 60 or 70% of this is foundational. And there is so much room for health coaches that help with diet and exercise and lifestyle and sleep, because that is critical to the recovery. However, there's so many outliers that still have, let's get you to eat more vegetables. Well, great. I have chronic diarrhea. I can't do that. Or I bloat when I eat vegetables. Then what do you do? So having protocols and having things in place that they can follow to get the results they need is great. And I kind of wish you were around when I when I first was looking into coaching, because I really would have loved more of a deep dive when I started out into this kind of thing. And so and I've gone that route now, and I have a full functional medicine coaching practice with a wait list now. Because of the results I'm getting for people, and functional medicine can get you guys there to getting results for your clients. And so they can't wait to meet with you again. And they can't wait to tell every friend in the world about you. And it's just helped me build such a huge practice. I'm afraid to advertise now because of what, my success stories. So this is a great tool. And I just love that you're bringing this out to health coaches today. And I love that you can get lab work. I mean, testing myself, if I had had that chance 20 some odd years ago, that would have put me through a lot less pain, just figuring out, what is going on with me and what can I do about it. And so those of you, I know so many of us get into health coaching because of our own health issues. You're going to be able to sleuth those things in this program, and then also have an idea of what to do with your clients at a very affordable price. I know there's a couple levels, and we can talk about that too. But why did you develop it? I assume you kind of answered that question, but what prompted you to develop this program in the first place?
Yeah, I never planned on developing a health coach certification. I really didn't. I mean, I had gone through many certifications myself, and it's part of the belief that people say, well, I already did this program, I already did that program. And I said, great. When I first started in this industry, when I was 18 years old, I started as a nutritionist. And then I became a personal trainer, and then I became a strength and conditioning coach. And then I, went into functional medicine, or I don't really call it functional medicine anymore, because there's a lot of functional medicine practitioners out there that do more hormonal health or use bioidentical hormones. And so the field's getting a little strange in like, what's a functional medicine practitioner? So I prefer just to say integrative health, meaning I'm taking bioregulatory medicine, orthomolecular medicine, functional medicine, Ayurveda, Eastern-based philosophy for the mind, TCM, and that's what we combine into one program, which is a little bit different. So, it's really, when I started my podcast almost 5 years ago now, and people kept asking, which health coaching certification do you recommend? And I would say, well, I recommend this one for nutrition, and I recommend this one for behavioral change, and then I recommend this one to learn about your labs. And I said, well, that's not cost effective. And people are asking me basically, how do I start to practice the way that you're practicing, because you're getting people results? And so I said, well, I had never planned to do this. I don't know how to do this. And so I have great people on my team like Caitlin and other people that develop the programs, the software, and put it all together so they make learning fun as well. So we're doing video-based teaching. We go through modules. There's a whole community involved like yours. And so it's a lot of fun. It's actually the best thing that I do right now, to be honest, is to develop this. And it's to also let people know that there's not supposed to be an end to your education and learning. And I say that inside of, we just call it IHP. It's because, okay, if you finish level 1, level 2, maybe decide to do what we call as our new mastery program, but it's not going to stop. Like if you're doing this 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'm going to recommend other things for you to do, because again, there's no end to your learning. And that is why, again, I recommend this as that next level, but also a really affordable way to learn about functional medicine without having to go to one of the higher, and again, and having to be a medical doctor. So about 50% of our people inside of our program are nurses and acupuncturists and doctors, and 50% of the people in here have no health coaching experience whatsoever. So there's a really beautiful mix of people.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned there's a couple levels which people can look up if they want, but if you guys, first of all, if you could, there are a few questions which Dr. Cabral can answer at the end. So if you want to type in your questions, give us some hearts if you want more interviews like this on this group and this forum. Even if you're watching this on the replay, maybe you could write your questions and maybe Dr. Cabral can come on and answer them, or his staff can answer them as well. But he's going to be offering today a very special deal just for members of this group, which I'm super excited about. Give you guys a chance to get in at a really low rate into his program. Before we tell you about that though, I just want to ask one other question. So when people start your program, maybe you could just describe the levels really briefly, but when do they have to start? Can they start right away, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that's really what we did was we looked at all the other certifications out there and all the certifications I had been through and everybody on my team. And we just said, what would you want as a student going through these programs? And so we give lifetime access. You can start anytime. And you can learn at your own pace. So that's what all of us wanted. So the real truth is this: you go through it one time and you can move at your own pace. I think level 1's around 50 hours. Then we give a lot more continuing education if somebody wants it. There's no additional charge. There's additional videos and podcasts and things like that embedded to make it really easy to learn, and all the handouts are right there. But that's before you get to level 2. So that's the entire de-stress protocol. That's the foundation that you need to know, taught through that. And then level 2 is going to be, we take you through the thyroid adrenal hormone lab. We take you through female hormone balance. We take you through omega-3, omega-6 lab, how to read these. The hair tissue mineral analysis, which looks at electrolyte balance, minerals, and heavy metals. And we're also looking at the organic acids test, which you're looking at candida yeast overgrowth, Clostridium difficile, neurotransmitters, detox pathways, all your B vitamins or vitamins in general. Because, here's the thing. Someone comes to you and there's something wrong with their thyroid. They don't know how to fix it. Well, if you ran those tests, you'd know if it was a mineral deficiency like selenium or zinc or iodine. You'd know if it was a vitamin deficiency like B6. You'd know if it was heavy metals like mercury or cadmium, or you'd know if it was high cortisol shutting down the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis. So you would know, like there would be no more guesswork. And so that's the power of the lab testing. And that's level 2, but you need to know level 1 because those are all the programs. Then we just say, use this program with this particular lab result. So, but the nice thing is this, you go through all of it. And then let's say, okay, now you have a new framework, go through it again 6 months from now, just play the MP3s. You don't have to watch the videos. And then it just kind of gets ingrained back in your head. And as you go through it second time, that's why we give the lifetime access for people right now. So hopefully that answered your question.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that it's lifetime access and that you can take your time learning it, and that you do teach those advanced tests, because I'll tell you, a big part of my success is being able to interpret organic acids tests. And it's not easy. It's not intuitive. You can't just look at the handy dandy guide. There's a lot of nitty gritty detail in those tests and things to look at. You can't just look at the report and get the answers. You have to really understand that test. So so that's great that that's taught as well. And I think anyone who has an autoimmune disease, I always will run an organics acids test and facilitate getting it. I should say, I don't order it myself, but one of the things, I love that you can actually get those labs and have a doctor sign off with the lab order. So that's a huge plus for coaches. That alone is a reason to do this program. But I'm just curious about also a few questions that some of the people have. So Diane was asking, what if your state can't do labs if they're like in a state like New York, or if or what if they're in another country? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do ship globally right now. So basically IHP is a partnership with EN, so Equilibrium Nutrition. But you don't need to use any of Equilibrium Nutrition's products, because Equilibrium Nutrition, yes, those are how I develop all my protocols to be able to ship to people all over the world. But you can use your favorite nutritional supplement brand, and we actually show you how to read the labels. So if you choose to use someone else, well, now you know what's supposed to be in the product. And then in terms of labs, we don't use any of our own labs. You have to have a doctor sign off in your lab. So that's just basically where they're shipped. We ship anywhere in the world, over 24 countries, Australia, New Zealand, all over the world. And in terms of, what was the last question?
Well, just like states like New York, yes. And someone's asking about Canada, where there's restrictions on getting labs, on getting these functional labs. So that was a question.
Yeah,
New York, Rhode Island.
Yeah, without a doubt, exactly. New York and Rhode Island are the big ones, and then there's one more now too. That's you can't do online. Yeah, exactly. You can't do online consultations there. You can get a lab, but you can't do the specific consultation unless you're from Kansas, I believe. But please don't quote me on that. You can certainly email us for those exact things, and that will always change. So the issue is that you won't be able to get them in New York and Rhode Island. There's no doubt about that. We can't do anything about that. The issue is the shipping back. Technically, you can get them. You just can't ship them back from your state. That's the legality. So that has nothing to do with us specifically. You can actually run them in a practice. So like you can, again, still learn the information, and you can run them with a doctor or a practitioner in your state, but you just can't order them online. Okay. So
right. Oops. I'm just trying to look for the questions. I apologize for that because my computer won't show me all of them. Mads has a question on, are there easy ways to determine mercury without blood tests? And actually, it's not a blood test that I don't think you recommend for it, correct? Or maybe a tri test.
Well, we do both. We do the hair tissue mineral analysis, which is going to show you mercury excretion through the hair. And that's a really nice one for ongoing mercury excretion, because your hair tissue mineral analysis will look at it basically the last 90 to 120 days of what's been coming out. But we also do another one that's a urine and blood test. But remember, these are all at home. So when I say blood, it's a finger prick, and you put a couple drops of blood on a card that then basically dries and you mail it in. And then the urine is just a piece of paper that you're going to essentially dip into urine if you're using a sample jar, or you're just going to urinate on the paper, let it dry, and then you'll mail it in. So there's multiple ways of looking at that. You can certainly, I've done podcasts, I think, on everything now. You can look at mercury symptoms, but really important if you think that you have mercury overload or toxicity, that you run that, or you begin a heavy metal toxicity program, because you have to do one or the other for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is great. So much great information today. And maybe you could just tell us what we're going to be offering the group today, and how long that offer will stand. So give us a little idea of what you're planning for us today.
Well, the funny thing is, I create all of, like, about 4 hours a day. I'm on video, podcasts, recordings, interviews twice a month. Used to be before the whole pandemic that we're in right now, traveling and speaking, and that's what I do. And I have an amazing team, so I want to just make sure they get credit for everything we do at IHP. And it's a great community. I'm sure a lot like yours, where there's a great connectedness between each other, because we are kind of a strange bunch that's in the minority, where we want to take care of our health. And then we've done such an amazing job at figuring out what was wrong with us. We want to share that information with everyone else. And so it's a little bit unique. And it's great that we have each other to basically, confide in all of that. So I believe and we've never done this before. We really haven't, but we know your group has already invested in themselves. So they've probably done another health coaching certification, whatever it might be. And again, most of our people have. So I believe we're doing $100 off level 1 and $250 off level 2. And so essentially you move through level 1 and then you get to do level 2. And so we wanted to offer that again for your group, because we know that they've already invested in themselves. I don't think that lasts forever. I believe Caitlin will probably provide more details. This probably lasts for a week or so for your group.
She
for
says
people that
until October 5th. So
there we go. And we are technically closed right now. So we also don't do, we open somewhere around 8 times per year for open enrollment. And we open for only 100 new people. So it's not like we do huge openings. We're not a huge, we probably have about 2,000 members right now. It's not a huge certification, because we only open, we've been now open for about 2 years. We do 100 people per month. And that's because we literally kind of introduce each person as through this new post to the group, and we make sure that they're settled. So it's not 1,000 new people a month. So we are closed right now. We actually had 100 people just enroll about 2 weeks ago. And we're happy to do this for your group because of all the great things, again, that you're doing.
yeah, so guys, you can get in this program for a really reasonable price. And Caitlin just put the link up for anyone who wants to do it. There's some coupon codes that you need to put in. It's HCEN 100 for level 1 and HCEN 250 for $250 off of the whole package, both levels 1 and 2. So you guys can get that discount. And there's a couple other questions here. Diane wants to know also if this counts for NBHWC credits. Do you have continuing education credits for NBHWC, or are you certified for NBHWC?
That would be a great question to do the support at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. You can email in to our team and see. We have, I believe, between 4 and 6 different accreditations with different boards, et cetera. And we're applying for all new CEUs and CECs as well, for a bunch of different organizations.
Wonderful. And I think that is pretty much it. Somebody had asked just how does this compare to, I don't know if you're familiar with some of the other functional programs like SAFM and FNL. I don't know if you want to speak to that, or you want to have people call the school for that as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't actually know all of the programs out there right now. Where if there's hopefully, and I believe there's a main page that takes you through exactly what you're going to learn. So we don't hold back. Like, there's no mystery. You see exactly what you're going to learn in each module. You're going to be able to see the different lab tests that we take you through. And so I don't know the specifics there. What I can say is this is not a lot of other certifications. Again, doesn't mean that they're better or worse. They teach you from many different perspectives. What you're learning with IHP is this is from a functional medicine practice that's been working with people for 20 years, seen over 250,000 people. We're giving you our protocol. So not this person's protocol, that person's protocol, this. It's one cohesive plan that, again, that we know works, that you can then use exactly as is, or you can put your own tweaks onto as well. So I would say that's the main difference, is that we're teaching from one perspective, from one practice that, by the way, though, is integrative health. It's from all these different types of places that I've learned from. And again, it's one of those things, it seems right for you, it speaks to you, or it doesn't. And again, there's no hard sales here. What I would say is actually one of the best things to do is actually get on a phone call with one of our people that have gone through IHP, and they can just share with you. We don't tell them what to say. There's no, specific thing. It's like, this is what the program's all about. And so you can do, I think we call it a discovery call, learn more about the program.
Right. That's a great idea. And I will say, some of the programs I can speak more to SAFM, but it's this program, Dr. Cabral's program, there's no prerequisites to go. You don't have to have worked with at least 8 clients. You don't have to have that experience. You don't have to already be a medical professional. So it's, a good step to learn functional medicine tenets and learn how to use it in your practice and really get some experience. And then I always think you should always be a student and look to gain even more and more knowledge as you continue your journey. I've been learning it for 5 years now, and I feel like I've only tipped the iceberg on what's out there to learn. There's so much to know, but yet I'm still able to help people, like, unbelievably. I cannot believe the results I get from my clients. I sometimes have to pinch myself, like, did I just do that? But it's just learning how to do it, and you need the tools to learn it. So however you're going to do it, get out there and learn it, and you will never look back. It is so worth the investment. Not a lot of money to spend to get this knowledge. Start using it in your practice right away. Start getting excellent results for your clients, who will start raving about you and sending many, many more clients to you. And this is the way I'm able to do this full time as a coach, and not have to work another job to support my hobby and passion. So it's a way to make it a reality. So Dr. Cabral, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. It's been just wonderful. Any parting words, anything you want to say, any words of inspiration for the group?
Well, what you just stated is very important. You don't need to stop practicing if you're already practicing to then learn this and then go back to helping people. Continue to help people because you're already an expert. You already know more than 99% of other people. So continue to help, but that doesn't mean don't stop your education. That's a big part of it. And also, we have many people coming on a monthly basis, and we basically, they come to integrativehealthpractitioner.org, they click on practitioners, and they can see all of the different practitioners in their state locally or that practice virtually. And so the benefit is also being able to get a referral network for people that we certify. Listen, this person knows the protocols that I complete, but I am not taking on more new people. So we pass those out to the integrative health practitioner. So yeah, that's the thing, is it's all about growth. And I don't feel that I've reached my pinnacle of what I should be, have learned as well. So there's always more to learn. And that's what it's all about. It's also what makes the industry fun, is that you learn these new little things. You're like, oh, okay, I can use this in this particular instance, and not with everybody, but I can use it here. So hopefully this was helpful today. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks again for all the work that you're doing for the health coach community.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, it's a private enrollment between now and October 5th. You have to do the links below, which is the link that Dr. Cabral just mentioned, integratehealthpractitioner.org, but you have to do /HCEN. Otherwise, you can't even enroll now because it's not even open right now. So make sure you do HCEN, which stands for Health Coach Educational Network. And then for the $100 off, Caitlin posted the codes below, or the $250 off level 2, and she put her phone number down there if you want to call her now and get more info about the program. But even if you don't do this program, get more functional medicine education. I think this is a great stepping stone and great first point of entry that is easy to do, and start using in your practice right away and get those breakthrough results for your clients. They are needing this. They need your help to get better. And I'm so glad you came on board today to tell us more about it, Dr. Cabral. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.